The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Just stated a few minutes ago that the DNA had come back as negative, that Stanley Ann Dunham's not the mother. Who do you think's the mother?
The mother is a mistress the mother is a mistress of the father, who was, we think, of Arab extraction. A Muslim of Arab extraction, living in the coastal protectorate of what is now Kenya. I should explain, listeners will probably not understand, unless they know East Africa very well, that Kenya, modern Kenya, is composed of two former territories. Kenya Colony, with the capital of Nairobi, and the coastal protectorate, with the capital of Mombasa. And the coastal protectorate was part of the Sultanate of Zanzibar. When Barack Obama, when your president was born, he was a subject of His Highness the Sultan of Zanzibar, not a subject of Her Majesty the Queen, because the coastal protectorate was not formally British territory. It was under British protection, but not British territory. Now, the mother, we think, is an Arab mistress of the father. Now, I'm using the expression the father in the video briefing, which is 4 years old. At that stage, I had no issue with Barack Hussein Obama as the father. The CIA rubbished Barack Hussein Obama as the father and put forward Malcolm X, of all people, and another black activist in Chicago as possible fathers, but the CIA were blowing smoke. That was deliberate. It was very funny. A friend of mine who had been in the CIA in Laos, a man during the 60s, a very nice man, who a really good loyal agency man. And when I visited in his very impressive home in the United States, he had a rug with CIA, coffee mug, CIA coffee mug. Wonderful man. He was diffused by language to try and blow smoke up me, and I had Malcolm X pushed down my throat for about 18 months. I was to give it up, guys. It's not Malcolm X.
It's definitely not Malcolm X.
No, definitely not Malcolm X. It now emerges there is a credible alternative father other than Barack Hussein Obama, and he's an Indonesian named Sudoku. And this work has been done by Dr. Jeremy Corsi, and I don't want to cut across Jerry Corsi on this. I'll let Jerry Corsi take the lead on that. I think that he is preparing an article. Let's just say that I'm aware, as Dr. Corsi was gracious enough to show me work in advance of publication, I'm aware of Dr. Corsi's view that the father is an Indonesian. And I have to say that Dr. Corsi makes a good argument. I'm no longer as convinced as I was that Barack Hussein Obama is the father. And the gentleman that Dr. Corsi puts forward has a connection to the MK Ultra program, the German program inside CIA running in the 1960s. And if that DNA, if there had been a DNA link to MK Ultra, I can see why Langley would have regarded the DNA report as ultra-sensitive. So there is a possible connection with the father of a German DVD program inside CIA. Everybody thinks it's a CIA program, there wasn't a DVD program. Going way back to the 60s. But the father, the parentage on the father's side is now really interesting. It's always been interesting on the mother's side, but there's now a really interesting debate about who the father was. And I have moved my position. I'm an intelligence specialist. With the backstage, I changed my opinion. I've always thought Barack Hussein Obama was the father. I've never had a problem. It doesn't matter whether he was or he wasn't, because the citizenship went through the mother, not the father, or was allegedly went through the mother. At most stages, it never really mattered who the father was, but since the mother was still not family undone. But there is now a credible alternative to Barack Hussein Obama Sr. as the father.
I see. Are you able to say, and if you can't, I understand, recently some photos circulated of the founder of it's kind of a cult, I guess, or a religious kibbutz.
Yes, exactly. Jerry Corsi was kind enough to send me those photographs. I'm being very guarded in what I say.
Okay.
Only for this reason, I'm an intelligence author. My book Spider comes out in the first week of April. Coincidentally, it's going to come out during this Vegas trial, which probably is going to collapse on the heap of the
And I am going to ask you about that because I'd like to follow the trial and report on that.
Yes, well, the trial explains why somebody decided, why the NSA would drop this video around on the internet, because the Obama administration were backing the prosecution of me partly in retaliation for my work on Obama. And all of a sudden, the trial date starts Monday 17th in Suffolk Crown Court, and all of a sudden this video, without my knowledge, I have to say, the video is suddenly put out there in the United States. And you're right, hardly anybody in America has ever seen it. I'm being courteous to Dr. Corsi. This is his research.
Okay.
And he's a fellow author. He was kind enough to show me pre-publication work that he's done. And if a fellow author sends me for comment pre-publication research, I'm not going to lift that research or document, certainly I'm going to document my own. And also, I'm very reluctant. I've done it with science. I've sent pre-publication copies to science, and I didn't expect anybody to suddenly claim the research as their own, or suddenly start lifting chunks of the book and talking about it.
Okay, understood.
Well, Dr. Corsi trusted me to respect the company, so I will.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate
I'm
that.
aware of the photos. I'm going to let Jerry Corsi make that argument on the father, and the credit has to go to him.
Okay.
The work, the stuff he sent me was completely new. I hadn't seen it. I had never really doubted that Barack Hussein Obama was the father. So I want to give the credit to Jerry Corsi for that work, and I have to say his work has intellectual rigor.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.